Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I'm really excited about this episode of Photography Marketing on Sticky Album's blog. I've got our guest today, Cherie Phelps. She is from, where are you from, Cherie?
I am from Gretna, Nebraska.
Nebraska. Sorry, I forgot to ask that earlier.
Yeah, it's a little farm town outside Omaha. Some people,
Awesome.
Gretna,
I've,
Tucky.
I have been getting to know Cherie a little bit over the last couple of years, and I finally saw her live in person on stage at Seniors Ignite 2014 this year. I was like, my stomach was in my throat. I was preparing for my talk that was coming up next, and your authenticity, your zaniness, your like, you not only captured everybody's attention in the audience. We're all laughing and crying right along with you. It like all of my nervousness about having to go up on stage completely went away. So it's
Okay.
thank you so much for that awesome heartfelt talk. If you guys weren't there, you missed out. Don't miss Seniors Ignite this year. It's if you're in the senior business, I cannot recommend another network or community of people to surround yourself with. That I'll stop there. I could go on and on. So today we're going to talk about marketing, the importance of in-person high-touch marketing. So that's where we're going to go. We're also going to talk about some great new features we've added into Sticky Albums through the dialogue, through listening to photographers like Cherie about how we can make Sticky Albums better. And we're going to talk about some of that stuff as well. But first, let's get to know Cherie a little bit better. So welcome to the show.
Yay! Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's start. How long you have your own studio, I remember, out of your house, correct?
Yep. Yep.
And I love how you're just like, that's just how it is, and I'm cool with it. I don't
It's
need
just what
that.
it is.
Yep. So how long have you been shooting high school seniors?
I have been shooting high school seniors now for about 11 years out of my home studio, and then about 4 years prior to that, when my kids were smaller. Once I moved out to Gretna, out in the country, I was able to open a home studio because the house was big enough. I had a big enough property, and it just really worked well for what I needed.
Yep.
A lot of the schools around here require indoor head and shoulder shots for the yearbook, so I had to have a place to actually shoot. So that's how long I've been shooting high school seniors. Yep.
Awesome. So what is there a big milestone in your business in the last 11 years where things really shifted? Where you feel
That's such a loaded question. Okay, so that's when you say that. So yeah, absolutely there was. I used to own a company, an internet company,
yeah.
with my then husband, my ex-husband now, and I always was, and I've always been an artist. And as the kids got older and I was able to focus more on photography, really, I really fell in love with it. It was really became a passion.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really started to focus more on that.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, with all the dot-coms going down and the economy crisis and everything else, the internet company really started to slow down with the sales. And my Phelps photography really started to grow.
Yep.
And then about almost 2 years ago, my then husband said he wanted a divorce, and I was like, that is fine, because we had not anything's wrong with him, but we just kind of had different life paths.
Yep.
And so it was time. And also about that time, my photography had really overshadowed the income that we were getting from business enhancements.
Awesome.
Which
So
kind of
let me so I love this is such a good example of how like your heart is just on your sleeve. I love it. So I was not asking you to share that. This is like an example of what she shared, so real in your live talk. So thank you. What I'm really looking for is the business. So like, what were some of the milestone things that had you go from just like making hobby money to like being the breadwinner? What were some of the things in the business that had you create that?
Well, one of the things I really had to focus on prior to all of that was marketing myself as a serious photographer who gave their clients an experience. I think there's so many photographers out there these days that, we've dubbed them all, the weekend warriors or the moms with rebels, whatever they are. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
But there's so many on every corner. And so I had to set myself apart. I had to come up with a marketing plan. I had to come up with a pricing schedule and a product line that was going to mimic the sort of client that I wanted.
Yep.
And so by doing that, I was able to then, like I said just a little while ago, position myself as a breadwinner of the family because I took it so seriously.
Right.
And I did that through a few different avenues, marketing one, getting some really great education, and aligning myself with some people in the industry that I really felt confident that I wanted to emulate.
Right on. Awesome. So it's finally charging what you're worth and really, so it was hard to raise your prices. What was some of the conversations you had to raise your rates?
Oh man, that was brutal. That was, I think, the hardest thing that I had to do in my business was to raise my prices, because I feel like, and it's the same thing I talked about on stage. I feel like as artists and creatives, we're so connected to the heart by our pricing, and our price list and our products and our worth. So if I don't feel like I'm worth, for whatever reason, whether it be prior, your life or who you are, things you're going through, if you don't feel that you're worth a certain price level, you're never going to charge it. And I never felt that I was that I was worth that. And so I did a lot of growing in that aspect. But I remember when I came back from a certain conference and I sat there with my price list, and I had just had one of these people that I just love, and he's my mentor. He just hacked it up with a red pen. He's like, "You are leaving so much money on the table." And he's like, "You need to up your prices." He said, "Take your top off." And which means take your top off your price list. He said, "I can't come in here and spend $2,000 if I wanted to.
Yeah.
So you have to take the price off your top off your price list." And so I went home and I said, "Okay, what do I want to be worth?" And so I would write down a number. And I would look at that number and I'd be like, "Oh, I think I'm going to throw up. I am not worth that." So I'd bump it back down to like $10 over what I was doing. And I'm like, I would hear that little voice inside of me when he was like, "You're worth more than this." And I was like, "Okay, so what do I want to be worth?" So it was really this fight. It probably took me a good 3 months to come up with a price list. And then honestly, all it was I threw my hands in the air and I said, "You know what? If I don't believe in myself, I trust this guy enough to know that if he believes in what I'm doing, and I trust that the things that he's telling me are true, then I have to believe that his word is the truth. And I'm just going to go with the price list that he gave me." And I did it. And that's when everything changed, because people were like, "Well, yeah, you're worth that." They didn't even question it. Right. I was the one questioning it, not everybody else. So that was, I mean, oh God, I had sleepless nights over and over.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. I love, so there's so much juice in there. Like, I think that a lot of people talk about price, and they do a good job of talking about understanding your price and building a good price list and all of that stuff. But I think they miss out on the foundation of the connect. It's so complex and connected to your own confidence and feelings of worth.
Yeah,
if you don't wrestle, it's not easy. It's sloppy and muddy and gross. But if you don't wrestle with that and address it head on, then you're going to struggle. And I think one of the phrases I like to use is, "You fake it till you make it." Even if I think you got to start in a place where like you go step outside of your comfort zone, where you're almost like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to throw up. Like, am I really that? Am I able to charge that much?" And what's great is it just calls yourself up to your highest potential, right? Where you're like, "Okay, now that I'm charging this, I'm going to bring my A game to every part of my business." And people are going to meet me and go, "Well, of course. Like, so let's fast forward to how long do you think you've been operating now with this like higher, more like realistic, what I would call a sustainable business price? Like, how long have you been operating at that point?
I feel like I've been operating in that level about 5 years now.
Okay.
In the beginning, it was baby steps. I still, although I brought my prices up, I've increased them since then.
Yeah.
And what you were saying, just a while ago about how your worth is connected. I think that's why so many people try to do offline sales or online sales, not together with their client. It's almost like they say, "I took these pictures, I'm really proud of them, I worked all this time on there, and because I don't want anyone, because I'm afraid of failure and I'm afraid of what they might say, which is tied to my worth and my heart, I'm going to put them online and I'm going to say, there they are, go buy them. And I'm not going to look, I'm just going to close my eyes and see what comes in." And I was doing that. That's exactly what I did, because I didn't want anyone to say, "What? You're not worth that."
Oh,
when ultimately they called me to take the pictures. Like, I wouldn't go to a hairstylist and say, have her cut my hair and then be like, "Okay, your haircut's $85." I'd be like, "What? you're not worth an $85 haircut. I know I called. I mean, it's just asinine to think that.
Right.
But yet we leave the most important part of our time together with our clients in building that relationship as we go through the images and we then show them their story. I spent all this time telling them their story through pictures and spending time with them. And then when it gets time to show them their story that I created for them, I leave it to the internet to do. It's crazy. And I love sitting with my clients. I have clients that, we all have the clients that cry with them, but I have clients that will actually sit there and, before we even get to the ordering appointment, we talk about all kinds of crazy, intimate, emotional, life-changing things. Mm-hmm. And that's where those relationships are built.
Yes.
Is in that time frame.
Yep. Oh, what an awesome connection to make. I can so relate. That's absolutely where I was at when I first started. It was like a security blanket where I was like, oh, maybe I was just tipping my toe in to like, I can be a pro photographer because I can just keep working my day job. And if they don't like my pictures, just buy what you like.
Right.
If you don't like, nope, it's fine. And like my average orders were like $300. It's like, well, guess what? That's not a business. It's a fun hobby, but it's not a business. And when
it's almost a slap in your face. Honestly, now that I look back at it, mm-hmm. I'm appalled at just where I was and how little I thought I was worth, and if I'm going to do it as a hobby, then do it as a hobby. Then love what you do, no matter what it looks like, and just bless those that you're with and say, here's some great images, you can take them.
Right.
But if you want to do this as a business, I know that there's all kinds of podcasts and all kinds of articles and blogs out there about your pricing and everything like that. But honestly, I am worthy of someone's business.
Yes.
And if you've called me to photograph your daughter for her senior portraits, and you've given me that care, to take care of that one rite of passage for her, mm-hmm. then I am honestly worth my prices.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that it's one of those things that you don't get it until you get it.
Right.
And I get it. And I hope that other photographers get it, because I see these photographers that are charging nothing, and it breaks my heart.
Right.
I mean, I don't have to compete with them. I'm not competing with them. It just breaks my heart that they're lacking so much in their own ability to be.
Yeah, you told me, I think I shared with the experience of myself I wanted to go outside of my network to hire a family photographer last year. Mm-hmm. Great pictures, loved working with her, but the part that stuck out is taking the top off. It was all online, everything's on, and I wanted the longer session, because I knew as a photographer I was okay getting the digitals, and I was in my mind, that's a whole other story. It turns out I would have preferred to have her help me with prints also, because I kept putting off. My wife's like, when are you going to print them? When are you going to print them? Even though I'm a photographer, I still put off printing. I would have preferred to have somebody do that for me. That's the separate point. The bigger point is on the website, I tried to purchase the bigger package with longer session. That part of the site was broken. I was trying to give more money and I couldn't. Yeah. And then that day of the session, I said, oh, so how much time do we have scheduled? Because I was hoping to get more images. But I wouldn't let me give you that. She's like, oh, don't worry about it. I just go along anyway. And I like just giving a good value. And I was like, I was trying to give you more money. And she, not only was it broken online, it was broke. Like, she didn't want to take it even in person when I tried again to give her more money. Okay. So I'm just sharing that because that's where I was too. Like, and I think we all go through our own journey of figuring out our worth and the business model we're going to use. And I'm just so glad you brought it down to that level. I think we've talked about pricing a lot on the podcast, but talking about what lays underneath all of this, I think is a really good place to start. So thank you again. Let's switch gears now to talk about marketing. Okay. And I think we're not even going to really switch, because it just bleeds right into your marketing is all about connecting on a real level, high touch, building relationships.
Yes.
So that's where we're going. That's what's working. And I think that's a common thread when I talk to a lot of photographers. That's what's working, is the high touch word of mouth. Mm-hmm. Let's share the story. You saw other people in your area, other photographers doing direct mail. And you're like, you know what? I can do it. I'm going to give it a shot. And what happened?
You know, I went in full bore, and like you said, earlier before you said I'm an overachiever, and I wanted to make my marketing piece totally amazing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the photographers in the area, a lot of the big name photographers in here do a lot of direct marketing.
Yep.
And so I was looking at what was coming into the house, because I have seniors and I have all of my clients that bring me all the junk that they get, which is fantastic and I love it. And I was like, okay, how can I set myself apart? So I created these multifaceted, Sarah Petty-ish type amazing marketing pieces with envelopes and confetti and did this and door hangers, and it was a 3-part series because you have to knock them 3 times to get it right. So not only did it cost a ton of money to get the list, which we drilled down, because apparently there's like 50,000 high school seniors in the greater Omaha area, and I'm like, I don't have $45 million.
Yep.
So let's drill it down. So we drilled it down to like 1,000 kids.
Yep.
And sent it out, first one, and I've heard you have to do it a couple times before you name it. So I got my bulk mail. I did everything right. Made these amazing pieces.
How much? Can you tell me how much it cost? Can we just parts of it? You don't have to share all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole thing. I think I roughly spent between $2,000 to $2,500 between the list and getting a bulk rate, and I only printed 2 marketing pieces.
Yep.
Because the first one went out, nothing, which I kind of expected. I mean, I was hoping for more. Really, honestly, secretly, you're hoping for more, but nothing came, and I'm like, well, it should be expected.
Okay.
Sent out the next one. The next one was kick-ass. Oh my gosh, the full color print on the envelope, front and back. I had pieces inside. I had confetti. It's always a party at sea Phelps. It was awesome. Sent them all out, and waiting. Nothing. I got one. I got one call, and I remember now I got one email.
Yeah.
The email that I got was, and it said, regarding your marketing piece or whatever. And I'm like, yay, I get it. So I went up, and it was this dad who was livid that I had put confetti inside the envelope, because when he opened it up, it went all over the kitchen and the dining room, which really is what I had hoped for. And he had to get out the vacuum, and he wanted to let me know how inconsiderate that was for him and me to do that to him.
Keep your party out of my house, Phelps.
Yeah, he would never, ever use my services.
Don't bring your party here.
Right. So that was the one email I got. And the call that I got was from a mom who said, I got your marketing piece. And I'm like, oh, great. Have you heard of my studio before? She's like, actually, yeah. I was going to call you anyway. This was just a really good reminder. So I got my butt kicked for $2,000 and a reminder. I sent out a reminder to one customer for $2,000.
Awesome.
Nothing else. So after that, I'm like, you know what? I am not going to do a third marketing piece because it was tragedy. And then, of course, you know, my friend Jen Bassford, I was telling her about my thing, and she's like, why the hell did you do that? You should have come to me first.
Yeah.
Because that's not where marketing is. You know, marketing is not a cold call anymore. We're so far beyond that. Right. Not only in this industry, but in life in general. Everything is about high touch points.
Yes.
Getting to know your customers on a high level. And that's where I like to keep all of my marketing. I'm still learning all the nuances of Snapchat and everything else, but I like to keep everything very high touch point. So
let's I'm completely foreign to Snap. I don't even have an account on it. So I'm listening to some of the photographers who are having to go there because that's where their audience is. Mm-hmm. What have you learned so far? What are the do's and don'ts of Snapchat?
Well, I'm still learning too, so forgive my clumsiness. But Matt Hoagland, he is one of my friends, and he's just recently wrote a blog on Seniors Ignite about this. It has a freebie and everything. Like, what you do is you can create a timeline on Snapchat. So if I take a picture of me working in front of my desk on, let's say, your daughter's senior portraits, and I can do a timeline, so I add that to my timeline, and as I do things, I can show you my whole day.
Okay.
So as I have Snapchat followers, they can go watch my timeline, and so you market. Matt's going to kill me when I totally bleed this up. But anyway, you market to your clients and say, follow me on Snapchat and watch my timelines. And you can actually see who has watched your timeline, whatever, Snap time thing.
Got it.
Who's watching it, how long they've been watching it, and you can show them your whole day. And it stays on there for 24 hours. So, and you can direct message people too now. I'm pretty sure on
Yeah.
Snapchat
Yep.
where I can send it straight to you. So like, let's say I have mom at home who couldn't make the site or couldn't make
The
the
session.
session,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I can Snapchat her images through the session to show her what's going on, and she can she can save them and everything like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, Snapchat's a whole new box of rabbits that I'm
Yep.
still kind of learning. But it's
But you got to do it. I think it's like things are changing. The where people are at, it's always changing, and it's you've always got to be trying your best. I think this is such a good. When people ask me about stuff, they're like, "Okay, so everybody's here. How do I do it?" It's like by the time it's like there's like as soon as there's a proven way that works, it's old.
it's old.
You've
I
got to
know.
be like as soon as you're like find yourself in a groove, you're like you better start thinking about another thing to do because it's going to be old. Like you,
Yeah.
and so get comfortable doing what you just shared us. Is like I don't quite get it yet, but this is how I might be using it. Like
Exactly,
that-
and I think that's what separates the men from the boys, and that's what's keeping the people that are making money and moving forward in the industry
Yep.
at a good pace, far apart from those people that are like struggling to make it because they're constantly looking at what's coming,
Right.
and they're not afraid to say, "I don't have Snapchat, I don't know how it works, but I'm going to get it, and I'm
Figure
going
it
to
out."
learn it because
Yep.
that's where my client base is."
Right on. Cool. I dig it. Okay. So now let's talk about how other ways. So this is laying the foundation of word of mouth. Your business comes from word of mouth referrals. So people finding your website, talking to your clients. What are other ways you are building that word of mouth relationship?
Well, obviously, I use sticky albums.
Oh, awesome.
Right.
Good.
Okay, but some of the other ways that I am able to do that is I do Instagram.
Yep.
I do some of those other social media, but I mean, really, I kind of hone in on a few different things, and I really do those things.
Well,
I try to do them really well. I try not to do a blanket, shotgun shoot out there. I don't want to do too many things. I want to keep
of
it,
course.
tight, so I know what's going on, and I can really know what my clients are doing. So a lot of it is, like you said, direct word of mouth directly from customer to customer.
Yep.
Targeting a very small group of people, maybe just the show choir kids, or through my own kids that were in activities at school, and then through word of mouth to my website and sticky albums and that sort of thing.
Awesome. Do you participate in events like at schools or out in the community?
I do. I tend to give all of my time, effort, and resources back to the high school,
Yeah.
Specifically here in Gretna, because that's where, number one, my kids went, and that's my clientele, and that's who's giving me their money, is all those high schoolers.
Right.
And so I like to give back to them. One of the things that I do every single year is the post-prom event, and so I go there at night after they get done with prom. I go to the post-prom event. I create all these great images for them, and then I upload them to Facebook and start tagging kids, and then it just becomes kind of a tag fest. So that's something that I give away to them. I also will shoot any of the sports teams if they give me
how the heck do you do that? So you get in, you've got a relationship with the school, and then you meet. What's post-prom event?
So post-prom it's actually an event that's been created to keep the kids safe after prom.
Yes.
So they're not off doing bad things. So they
Yep.
keep them all in the high school. For Gretna, they have an amazing post-prom where these kids get all these amazing prizes. They bring in a hypnotist. They have tons of games and food. I mean, they really try to give these kids no reason
Right.
not to be there.
Awesome.
And so every year they have this huge theme. So I got together with some of the people who were the parents. It's the junior parents that put it on. So there's a couple of junior parents that are always like the president and the vice president. So I talked to them and said, here's what I would like to do. I'd like to offer this to you. There was somebody in the past that was doing it just for an hour maybe, and then they would leave. But they were really kind of looking for an all-encompassing, kind of a big event. And
Yeah.
so I got in there. The only thing that I ask from them is that I can put a flyer in all of the junior bags, because all the kids go home with a big bag of gifts and prizes and stuff like that. So I'm
Yep.
going to put a marketing flyer in all the junior bags.
Are there other small businesses doing stuff like that too? Yep.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we have the whole community comes together for that. They really depend on a lot of community resources to
Right.
make the thing happen. So yeah, a lot of the communities there. a lot of the parents of the seniors that I've shot, are there.
Yep.
So
So are you shooting? Did you set up lights, or are you just shooting it like journalistic style?
I've done both.
Yeah.
It depends on the year and what they're doing. I've done both. I have set up lights, and every year they have a theme. So then I'll create a background, or they've given me a background based on the theme.
Yep.
And I bring all kinds of junk for the kids to dress up in, and they just get in there. And then I always make sure that I talk to my current seniors that I just shot this last summer.
Yep.
And I tell them, you guys have to come to my booth and get your pictures taken, because I find that once the first few kids come, it's just a lineup of kids. But you always have to get the first few.
Nothing attracts a crowd like a crowd. Totally.
Exactly.
You need to see it. Oh, good advice.
Yep.
Oh, so cool. So how much does this cost you?
Just cost me my time.
Yep.
I mean, obviously time is worth money.
Yep.
But I get my name in front of, a couple hundred juniors.
Yep.
All the seniors or all the sophomores or underclassmen that happen to be there as well.
Yep.
And more than that, I solidify myself in the high school as somebody who gives back.
Yeah.
And I do it with honesty and integrity. I'm not giving back to, try to manipulate and get things. I really love these kids.
It's a good cause. It's a great cause. You can act like
it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Authentically get behind it, and it's a win-win for everybody.
Right.
Oh, such a good story. Thank you. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so I like to tell people when it comes to like the traditional type of marketing, like we would love to be able to do like, oh, I have to just spend this money and then get these customers, right? Like that type of paid in your face push promotional style marketing, it sometimes can work. Like if you are committed and you want to grow your business really, really big, great. You can go after that. But the mistake people make is similar to what we were talking about earlier, is going the safe route. It's the reason why it doesn't work is because it's low risk for you, high risk financially, but low risk emotionally, right? And so when you're not really risking yourself, it's easy for people to ignore you. But when you're putting yourself out there, you've got to go be like willing to risk to stand in a booth and have nobody come up to you, right? And you look like the silly old lady with a camera.
Yep.
Like that's risky, but it works. Like when you just throw your whole being into it and are authentic about it, there's a huge payoff to be made. So circling back, once you lay the foundation of this like word of mouth referral, people know you, they know who you are as a person. Then you start doing like a paid ad in the high school football flyer or something, right? And what you said, the one way it worked is it was a reminder. So the one success was it's a reminder. People they're going to see an ad and they're never going to see a paid ad and say, what's this? I want to check this person's workout.
Right.
It's only going to serve as a reminder of the foundational word of mouth. What's the word I'm looking for? Like potential or like that baked in awareness that's already out there.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think it's the same as, as simple as, you look at these telemarketing or not the telemarketing, but the infomercials. Mm-hmm. And they always say 1-800, whatever. And they say it like 6 or 7 times. And that's so it burns into your brain. And you walk away going 1-800-556, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with this sort of marketing. If I market one time to this community and say, hey, I'm C. Phelps Photography, come to me for high school senior portraits.
Right.
So I'd be like, okay.
Yep.
And maybe there's a couple of them that are like, yeah, I'll get to that later. And then they never do.
Yes.
But when you can target, you have to have your high level, hit the whole community.
Yep.
And then you need to kind of drill it down to maybe just the high school.
Yep.
And then you drill it down even further to maybe just like the football team.
Right.
And so when you can go to all these different levels of marketing, you're going to have a much better result. Mm-hmm. I did an art project for the local doctor's office. She actually called me. I was one of her patients, and she said, this is what I'd like to do. I know you're a photographer and I love your work. I want to give you words. And out of these words, I want you to create images using people. So like connection, caring, togetherness, comfort. And so I had to create images based on those words. And then she hung them all over her doctor's office. Wow. And so the cool thing is it was a way for me to have, first, an artistic outlet.
Yeah.
Number 2, she's a well-known doctor in the community. And then she bought these huge images, 30 by 40. So she's not going to replace those every year. They're still on her wall, and I did them probably 8 years ago. And so I always have, I'm getting these repeat customers because they see my name every time they go to the doctor's office.
Yep.
So every time they go to the doctor, they see my name, and then they see the football booster program, and oh, there's that C. Phelps again.
Yep.
And then, you know, they might go to the yearbook, and it's, oh, there's that C. Phelps again. And,
Yep.
and so I keep my name in front of these people. And so when they start to think of who can I go to for my senior portraits, they're like, I keep seeing that C. Phelps. We should go check her out.
Yes.
And they don't have to go too far to find out a way to get a hold of me.
Yeah. Well put. Yeah, you got to have several approaches, and it's hard to put your finger on like one single thing that sealed the deal, right? Because it's a you don't know all of the things before the last straw that actually had them pick up the phone and call you. And a lot of people forget that we put all of this energy into marketing, getting people to call us, but it only matters when the timing is aligned, right? If they're not a senior, if they're not shopping for a photographer, you can put millions of dollars into energy into getting them to like your work. They're going to come to your website. I mean, Google over, oh my God, this is so great. Wow. If I ever need a photographer, I know who I'm going to call.
Right.
6 months go by, they're like, who is that person?
Who was that again?
Right?
Exactly.
I don't know. It's all, so that's why it's so important that it's ongoing, because people, not everybody in your group, and having your targeted market is important too, because with seniors, you know, there's a fixed timeline that's an ally. But for other photographers, whether it's families or boudoir or other niches, there's no set timeline, and it's making sure you're planting all of these seeds so that you can harvest them year round.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting you say that, because I think that each different, you know, genre of clients requires a different type of marketing. You know, seniors, you want to infiltrate early, because I've got seniors that were like, I've been watching you since I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So they've been watching me this long. The kids will keep track of who they want to go to. Yeah. You know, you talked about boudoir. You know, I wouldn't infiltrate the community with boudoir pictures.
Right.
So that's a very specific type of way to market. Yep. And word of mouth is so intimate with boudoir. You know, if I'm a woman and I just had my portraits taken, I'm not going to blast that to everybody. Yeah. But I still feel proud of what I've done, and I still want to share it with my girlfriends, because girlfriends share everything with girlfriends.
Yes.
And, you know, I just did a session a couple of weeks ago, and she's like, I was telling my friends, and so many of them are so excited. They're so interested. And it's because, you know, it's still kind of a little secret thing.
Yes.
But when one woman shares, the other girls are like, you did it? Okay, I'm going to do it too.
Yes.
So that, you know, it kind of depends on each different, you know, niche.
I was so surprised that sticky albums would work for that. We added password protected albums for boudoir, because we take away all the sharing features via social. All that stuff doesn't matter. It's the in-person, shoulder to shoulder. Here's my phone. I'm going to give you my phone. You can take a peek.
Right.
And guess what we talk about all the way back to experience. Think about what your client is talking about when they give their phone to their friend. They're talking a little bit about the picture, but mostly about the experience they had.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're not going to pick up a picture like, look how great my dress looks. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, look at these images that I got at C. Phelps Photography or wherever they went, and it was so much fun.
I was so nervous, but like she made me feel comfortable. I was nervous about what to wear, but she helped me pick out my outfit. I didn't know how to do my...
There was a bug on my shoulder in this one, and that's why I'm laughing so much. So they're going to tell the story. Stories are so important.
Yes.
That's what people share, is they tell their stories. Nobody says, look at my great dress and look at how fabulous my hair looks. They tell you the story of what happened when I looked so great.
Yes. Yeah, perfect. Okay, we're hitting like on all cylinders today. I love it. All right, so last but not least, we talk about, specific to people who are using sticky albums, how to get people out sharing them. People come in, you're like, oh, this person's like a huge social butterfly. They're going to share this album like 100 times. And then nothing happens. Like, what the heck? Oh, they didn't like this one picture.
Right.
So what is your way around that?
Well, one of the things that I do for my seniors is I wait until they come in for their ordering appointment. And I see which images keep coming up. And I'm very specific with the images that I put into my sticky albums. I will only give them 7 to 10 images.
Yep.
And I don't give them a whole bunch. I only give them 7 to 10, and I make sure that they are images that I know that they love. They are in their albums, they're in their collages, they're in their prints, they're the big image, they're the wallets, they're the ones that I know that they love.
And you know that because they've bought them. Like they're like,
Absolutely,
right.
they've bought it. Yeah, it wasn't just a, well, yeah, we'll take that one as just a proof later or whatever. Just, I guess you can throw that one in the in the album. I make little notes next to all the different things. And sometimes I'll make a note of images that maybe Dad has been fighting for. And he loves this image, but nobody's giving him the time of day, poor guy. And, he wanted this one as a big print. And so I'll make sure that Dad gets, that would be something that you could do a sticky album, or give Dad a sticky album that has his favorite images. Because, yeah, he loves the images his daughter's in, but she wants to be like, and saucy and whatever. And he's like, no, I just want my little girl. So
I never thought of that. Is you can deliver a custom one app just for the senior to give to her friends. Senior, another app for Dad, because Dad doesn't want to show the super racy ones. It's
exactly.
Like, it's genius. But I never thought of that.
Yeah, seniors don't want to be like, look at me smiling at all these images. She wants to be like, growl at the camera.
Yep.
But Dad is like, there's no way. So if you can,
and Dad will then, if they fit what Dad likes, then he's gonna go share them with his friends.
Oh yes, and how many people are gonna listen to Dad? Because Dads never talk about senior photography, and if I get Dad to share that at work with his buddies, done. I mean, you don't have to go any farther, because Dad comes home, and if Bob at work, believes in C. Phelps photography, and I'm one of his peers, obviously if he can afford this, if it's something that he values, if it's something that he likes, I'm going to keep up with the Joneses, and I'm going to go to C. Phelps photography. So don't ever, don't think that one client needs one sticky album, and now it's so stinking easy to make a sticky album, so you can create them all the time. You can make them for little brother if you want. It doesn't matter. It takes you that long to make a sticky album. You send it out to the email, and from there, let everybody in the family, not just the senior, share that image. Yes.
And these are all things you couldn't do if you weren't doing in-person sales also. So you've built that relationship. You know what each person, each party cares about. You can tailor it just for them. And that's the tiny little extra work you do that pays tremendous dividends.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you could never do this if you put your images online and let the online world try to decide what you want. Not only that, but there's some images that maybe they didn't like the way their shoes looked or whatever, and there's all these little things that I had one parent who loved this image. Well, he hated the image at first. He was like, I don't like that image at all, get rid of it. And I'm like, okay, what? No, you can't say that. Tell me what you don't like about the image. He's like, well, I just don't like, maybe it was something insignificant, like the way her hand was on her hip or something. I'm like, well, we can crop it. Yeah. So we cropped the image. It became the wall portrait. Wow. But if it was an online sale, he would have disregarded that one altogether. Wow. And you would have taken all these amazing images that you took down to the 5 that they want, an 8x10 for the wall, because that's plenty big. No, come here. I can show you what an 8x10 looks like. I think
that goes right back to like being confident in your art. And I think if there's one saying people should steal from you today is, tell me why you don't like it. Tell me what about it.
Absolutely. I will tell my parents. I tell my parents and my seniors, I'm like, you are not going to hurt my feelings if you tell me why you don't like this image. Yeah. Now, I've never had anyone say because it's a crappy image. It's always something that they're nitpicking about themselves. Yes. Which means it's nothing to be with me. They're like, well, the lighting is beautiful, and I love the background, and that's my favorite outfit. I just think, my arm looks fat. Oh my gosh, that's a quick fix.
Done.
It's that quick, and I didn't see it. But if it bothers you, then we took care of it. So it's giving them the confidence to know that they can get what they want. Yes. Just have to tell me why. But you have to be strong enough as a person, as an artist, and know your worth. I know that I'm a good artist. I know I'm a good photographer. So tell me why you don't like it.
This is the difference. This is why they're going to pay a little bit more or a lot of it more money, because they get somebody who gets them and who's willing to invest the time and energy to actually listen. And if we jump back to like the distinction between this promotional in-your-face marketing, the old model of marketing, one of the many reasons why it's not working anymore is because it's too general. When you can be that you have to, as consumers, we want stuff that's just for us. Like
Absolutely.
that's why we love sticky albums. It's been so successful is because people love having their face on an icon. It's
Yep.
all about them. They have their own app. That is what drives the success of them actually bringing it up in conversation. It's something they love. It's made just for them.
Yes.
So another thing in listening to this challenges, we've unearthed even more great ideas. But what we've added in the new release of sticky albums is that the senior can share one image at a time now. Instead of, what we've heard some feedback is that some seniors feel, and I think it's different in different parts of the country too, where they feel embarrassed to promote themselves too much. So like sharing all 12 images or all 20 images just feels too boisterous and they won't do it. Now they can share just one image at a time. How do you see that helping getting the shares out there?
Well, I think it's going to be vital. I think, like just like you said, I think there's so many or seniors out there that, they don't want to say, "Hey, everybody, look at these great 20 images," but they want to give a sneak peek. Maybe there's that one that I know that they love, that their boyfriend is going to love. They just love it, and so they're going to share that with their boyfriend, and their boyfriend is probably going to share it with his buddies because they're like, "Look at how my girlfriend is," and there's so many different people that they can share these with, different images. Each different image, again, tells a different story.
Yep.
And so if mom gets that album and she sees that one that reminds her of her, I call it the cookie jar smile,
Yeah.
that little quirky one, she's going to share that with her girlfriends and say, "Look at this beautiful image of my daughter."
Yes.
And then the senior's going to do that. And so they can pick and choose what image matches the relationship of the person they're sending it to.
Yes. It's kind of, it's more conversational, right? I'm just learning as I talk this out. It made sense for a couple reasons why we built this, and now the more I talk about it, there's even more reasons. When we send anything, the more specific the email, the more specific the phone call, the more meaningful it is. That like you can send something like a present just for this person. You don't just go buy the same present and give it to all your friends. It's like,
Right.
no, this image I want to share specifically to this person.
Exactly.
So huge.
Yep.
I love it. Let's wrap it up there. Cherie, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your honesty, your authenticity. I think it's just fantastic. People want to check out your work. Where can they go?
cphelpsphotography.com.
Awesome.
I'm also on Twitter and Instagram at cphelpsphoto.
Kick ass. Well, thank you again. Have an awesome rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.
Cheers.